Fast, hot, and fresh. Open 24 hours just for you. Dodge's Store. Come be our guest. Dodge's Store, Ripley. We are 100% employee owned with friendly service and a fun atmosphere. High quality, low prices. We are Food Giant. Our deli serving breakfast, lunch, supper. Food Giant, 702 Highway 15 North, Ripley. Come shop Food Giant. Want fresh meat and fresh produce? Food Giant's the place. High quality, low prices, Food Giant. A proud sponsor of TV19 News and Sports. Cardinal Drive-In, 1807 City Avenue North, Ripley. Cardinal Drive-In, 837-2970.
Good evening. Lee Allen Pegram along with Dr. Cummins on the Ask Dr. Cummins Show. How you doing this afternoon, Doc?
I'm doing pretty good, especially considering the dreary day they're having outside. I can't complain.
Terrible. If you work outside in this kind of weather, you're going to get the flu. So that's future patience.
There you go.
You've got some new hours going on in the office, I believe you said.
Yes, we do, and we're now open on Saturdays. We're trying from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
On Saturdays.
To see how that meets the needs of the community. And we may change that, plus or minus some hours. Just depends on how we're helping them, if we're staying busy or not, and that kind of thing. But we were open the first time last Saturday, and we were pretty busy.
Yeah.
So
you got to get the word out that you are open on Saturdays. That'll help out the people that work during the week.
Right. And you don't have to be already in the system or anything. You can come in as a new patient, and we can get you worked in and figure out a way to help.
So walk-ins are welcome.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, walk-ins I guess are welcome anytime.
Yeah, from our standpoint, I know some places may not, but we do welcome walk-ins.
Well, that's good to know. So remember that on Saturdays from 9 to 4 o'clock. Dr. Cummins' office is in the hospital complex. You can't miss it. He'll be open. 587-8176 is the phone number to call with your questions. And we had a call. Just got one off of the phone call that I'll ask you right now that we'll open the program with, Doc. It says that the tongue swells at night once or twice a year. And then after it swells, it turns black on both sides. And then when it goes down, it leaves blisters. What causes that? I don't know. Did I ask that right?
Yeah, I think you did. There are several things that can cause that. The most common is usually some type of allergy. So if it's once or twice a year, it makes you wonder if there's something in the air that's causing
like spring and fall.
Right. Some kind of pollen or something in the air doing it. But now medicines can do that too. A lot of times when the tongue swells, we call that angioedema. And that just basically means blood swelling, where blood pools in that tongue and it swells up. It can be dangerous because it can make it where you can seal off your airway where you can't get air in and out. So if that thing stays prolonged, you need to go to the emergency room if you start getting shortness of breath or you can't get your air. A simple, quick remedy would be like some Benadryl. Try some Benadryl.
Benadryl is
at
good
home.
stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, always good to have that in the house. And hopefully that will take care of it. But I would say I would get with my doctor if I were you and do a medicine review just in case any of those medicines you're taking may be causing that. Your pharmacist may be able to look at that with you as well if you're taking any medicine.
Okay. Hope that answered your question. We've got another one here, and this one's kind of sad, but the family, this is more or less for the family. The lady died. She died in the hospital, and she was told that one of the reasons was death was she had arthritis. And she was taking arthritis pills, and they told her that it caused her stomach to bleed, and that's why she died. Is that sound... have you ever known of arthritis pills or something to make your stomach bleed?
Yeah, I think what they're probably referring to is something like aspirin or some other non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. And there's a variety of them. Bunch from Mobic, the old Vioxx that was out for a while, Celebrex.
Yeah, I've heard of all of those.
Naproxen, naproxen. diclofenac. I mean, I could just go on and on. And all of those have about the equal risk or likelihood of causing what we call GI or gastrointestinal disturbances and upsetting the stomach, or basically making it more acidic, or making the lining of that stomach, if you will, I guess kind of rough, where it can break or rip open easy or tear. So you eat the wrong kind of food and it's a rough food or something, and it tears that lining a little further open to make it start bleeding. And
Well, how can you
stop bleeding fast enough.
Not trying to interrupt, but how do you know that I mean, does it come out in your stool? Does it, what type of situation are you faced with, and what does it come, how do you know that your stomach, how do you tell that? Is it
Sometimes
painful?
you don't know. What you may start realizing, though, is you get nauseated because your stomach's not right. It's getting blood pooling in there.
Right.
Or when you go to the bathroom, your stool could have changed color, be like real dark black.
All right.
But now also, just since I mentioned that, Pepto-Bismol, when you take that, it can turn your stool black too.
Okay.
Okay. Other things can. Point is, other things can change your stool color too. It's not always gonna mean it's blood.
Right.
But a black tarry stool can signify blood. Okay. And that's what we call an upper gastrointestinal tract bleed in that stomach. I remember in medical school we watched a video of an older man who, just showed him through the course of his day and that night, and somewhere along it, a little bleed started in his stomach. He lay down to go to sleep, and he never woke up. And we're all gonna go from something, and a lot of times when people die, you can have those ulcers in your stomach from that bleed, and that occurs, and that you just
This family was
know what it was.
This family was told that the arthritis pills caused the bleeding in the stomach, and that's why the lady died.
Now,
It seems like to me that some kind of warning in your body. Of course, you're not doctors, I'm not but there ought to be some kind of, but I guess there's not. I guess stuff happens.
It depends on the severity and how fast that bleed is occurring. But if it's bad,
yeah,
or severe, your blood pressure is going to drop. You're going to have trouble breathing. You're going to be real thirsty because you're trying to get more fluid back in your body.
Right.
There's things you'll notice if it's severe.
Something from different from normal.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I hope that answers your question. We've got, let's see. This is an old thing. I remember it when I was a kid. Do you ever hear the term or ever see it again something called the pink eye?
Oh, yeah.
Do you still call it the pink eye? What is the pink eye?
Pink eye is basically just an infection of the white of the eye, or what we call the sclera of the eye.
The white around the...
Right. The whites of your eyes.
Okay.
That's usually where you'll see it. It gets kind of red, or in medical terms, erythematous. And what causes it? It can be a virus. It can be a bacteria. It can be a fungus. It can also be trauma, like if somebody's wearing contacts. They get dry eyes, and their contacts get too dry, and it rips that lining of their eye.
Mm-hmm.
When you get into like a disease state, though, it's most commonly a virus that causes it. And there's certainly treatment that you can get for that. And it is usually contagious. That's why people are usually, kids are sent home from school. But beware of the child that creates his own pink eye.
Okay.
Because a lot of them used to do that to get out of school. So
I got you. Well, the question just came in, RSV. What is RSV? Do you know what? I have no idea. So there's a question. What is RSV?
RSV is basically a respiratory syncytial virus. So another virus.
Sound like something to do with breathing.
It has got to do with breathing.
Yeah.
And it usually affects the youngins.
Young people.
Yes. And usually your infants, older infants and toddlers most often. And the reason why it doesn't affect the older, we've already usually been exposed to it, and we usually have antibodies to it where we can fight it. So, but a youngin can get that, and it can really wreak havoc on their lungs. There's not any real ideal treatment for it out there except supportive care, symptomatic treatment. As things occur, you treat them as they occur, and in close monitoring with your doctor. They have worked on several types of RSV immunizations, but they've had some problems with them, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't think there's any one good RSV immunization.
Okay, now this next question, I'm going to ask it, okay? I'm going to try to ask it with a straight face, but the lady that asked it serious. It said a woman was asked what her husband was taking for his COPD. Obviously, the husband's got COPD. So she told him that he was taking heart pills for his heart and prednisone to build up his lungs.
What was for his heart?
She just said heart pills.
Okay.
She didn't say. Just heart pills for his heart and prednisone to build up his lungs. And then the person came back that was asked the question. She asked the question and said that she knew someone that was taking Viagra, and she said it with a serious face. Is that a treatment?
For the lungs?
Well, just for anything, for the COPD, lungs, or heart. Is that a legitimate question?
Yes.
I thought it was kind of. I thought they were joking.
It's
okay?
kind of funny. But
I don't want people standing in line. If you stay on something 4 hours, you better go see a doctor. You know.
Right.
That's what I thought.
The COPD. Now, when they're talking about steroids building up the lungs, that's not really what it's doing. Okay, steroids are anti-inflammatories, and they stop a process of inflammation and get swelling and things out of the lungs. It will improve them, but it's not going to really make your lungs any stronger or better. It puts the fire out. That's essentially what steroids do. Some people require steroids all the time because the fire is so bad they have to have.
And Viagra's a steroid.
No, Viagra. What Viagra does, and what they've done, some cardiologists are doing with Viagra, particularly when someone has a heart attack, they may give them some Viagra. And the reason why, I know it sounds funny, but Viagra is a dilator of the blood vessels, okay? It's primarily targeted for the sex organs, okay?
Right.
However, some of the same places that are targeted are in the heart. So what they're thinking is if they can dilate any of those arteries just a little bit to get a little more blood to that heart that's just had the heart attack, it's going to save your life or save more of that heart tissue. Because when you have a heart attack, every second that heart tissue does not get oxygen is critical. So they're trying to get more blood to that heart.
That's the purpose for it.
Yes.
Okay.
I've only seen it used in emergency uses. I've not seen it like used on a daily use or anything like that.
Well, it's not a silly question then.
No,
I didn't know whether it was or whether it wasn't.
Yeah, heart attack, no joke.
Okay, well, I quit put my thought process into the questions because this is kind of this is one that you could probably spend 5 shows on, but it's a good question. What is the difference between depression and bipolar disorder? Because you hear that term.
That's a good question.
That's a term that's only come up maybe in the last 10 years, but now you hear it more and more. He or she is bipolar.
Yeah, and certainly when medical terminology starts spilling into the vernacular, we have to be careful really what it means. Because you'll hear people just talking, well, Susan's bipolar, because she did something stupid or crazy. And but purely when we're talking about bipolar disorder, the reason why I say bipolar, you have like 2 poles. You have a high and a low. So when you're high, man, you're feeling great. But you're feeling too good, they call that mania. So you can have bipolar mania, a maniac. He's feeling good and he's running crazy. The low point is depression. I mean, and when they're low, buddy, they are low. The risk of suicide is high with these people. So bipolar disorder encompasses depression and mania.
Kind of a combination of both.
Right. And some people are what we call rapid cyclers. They go, man, today they're manic, tomorrow they're depressed. But then there's other people who are not rapid cyclers. You know, they may go and be depressed for months. And then they have that, what we would call that wild hair.
Yeah.
And then they're up for a week. They're at the casino. They are doing things with people they shouldn't be doing things with. They are
just different personality almost.
Right. And just no self-control, but that's when they're fun to be around.
Yeah, well, naturally.
You know, they're the life of the party at that time, and, you know, they can get you into trouble.
Well, somebody that's depressed is not really much fun to be around.
No. And
they don't have ups and downs.
so-
They're just depressed.
But you could be but you could have, like, major depressive disorder and just be depressed, and you don't have bipolar.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
But if you have bipolar disorder, you have those highs and
And
those
lows.
lows. And there's
Well, bi
pretty good
means
treatment.
two.
Yes.
BI means two, so that's what
That's it.
And disorder, ups and downs. So.
Yeah, and you know, unfortunately, we have a lot of people out there with mental illness.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, that's probably one of the largest diseases. That's probably larger than any disease, mental illness. I mean, there's probably more out there than.
Well, 50% they say of what is behind a primary care doctor's visit, like I am, has a psychiatric component to it.
I can
Now,
see that. Yeah.
You don't know which one, is that what's causing the first problem or vice versa?
Right.
But there is 50% of those visits include some type of component of psychiatry in it.
I can see that. All right, Tony, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back after we hear from our sponsors.
Magnolia State Family Medicine, Health Center and Medical Spa, 1009B City Avenue North, Ripley, 587-8176. Call for your appointment. Providing modern medicine with Southern hospitality. That's Magnolia State Family Medicine, 100% veteran-owned and operated. Bethel University Physician Assistant Program affiliated. Magnolia State Family Medicine. Dr. Christopher J.M. Cummins, Medical Doctor. Fast, hot, and fresh. Open 24 hours just for you. Dodge's Store. Come be our guest. Dodge's Store, Ripley. We are 100% employee owned with friendly service and a fun atmosphere. High quality, low prices. We are Food Giant. Our deli serving breakfast, lunch, supper. Food Giant, 702 Highway 15 North, Ripley. Come shop Food Giant. Want fresh meat and fresh produce? Food Giant's the place. High quality, low prices, Food Giant. Now welcome to Ask Dr. Cummins. Please call 587-8176. Ask Dr. Cummins.
We're back, and please remember the phone number, 587-8176. Give us a call. No question too big, too small. That's right. For it and don't know it. Let me get you one here. You hear this. Can people get ear mites? Is this a fungus? And what can you do about it? Ear mites. M-I-T-E-S.
I guess you can get ear mites. I've not seen that a lot in my practice here. They are not a fungus. And what was that third component to that?
Can people get ear mites? Is it a fungus? And what can you do about it?
Yeah, there's treatment for it. It's something
Is it like an insect?
It's like treating scabies. If everybody's familiar with that, you know, it's just that body.
Well, then the next question under that, let me tie that into it. You hear about bed bugs on TV. Right. Do they carry disease like fleas and ticks? So I guess that all kind of adds in. What do bed bugs do?
They don't carry disease that I know specific to themselves, other than just making you sick themselves doing it. Okay. Right. And obviously leading into skin infections, and then the bacteria start doing their thing because your skin's been disrupted. So, but the mites and the scabies are all kind of in that same family.
Okay, so,
There's certainly treatment for it.
okay. The person that asked this question has a history of asthma in her long ago history. So I guess she had it when she was a child or a young person. She had pneumonia last month, okay? Now she is short-winded and wears out easily. Says she is just okay, but she's just gotten lazy and pants like a dog as she just walks across the yard. Is this going to be permanent, or can it be improved, or will it improve and get back to normal before she got the pneumonia?
She should get better with time. The lung should regenerate some tissue and become more healthy. She'd be a good candidate for pulmonary rehab, I would think.
And you have the full services for the pulmonary rehab
We
in
do.
your office.
If she's in Ripley, we
I
we
know
have-
that because I've been through it.
or
and
in
it's
the,
quite
or in the
up to date.
area.
Yeah.
But other than that, somebody that had asthma history, or somebody's got that history of lung problems early on, they're just a type person, for whatever reason, that their genetics, they're going to have probably some lung problems all the time, or as they get older, it may get more severe. So they really need to do whatever they can to be more healthy, to exercise as much as possible, to take the right medicines, to not smoke, all those different things, because she's already been, how old was she?
Well, I think she's probably in her late 50s now.
Yeah, so, she's already getting the writing on the wall of what her future can be if she doesn't get a hold
If
of
she
these
doesn't,
lung. Right.
right.
So really, she's getting a good opportunity.
So, and you're saying prevention is very important to a person that has had this kind of history. And I'm learning what the breathing lessons are myself, and they work, I'm going to tell you.
But it's Grandma's old thing, ounce of prevention,
Yeah.
pound of cure.
And Clint Eastwood had a great line in The Outlaw Josie Wells. He says, a man's got to know his own limitations. So,
Yep.
so I'm learning at 60 years old that that's a true statement.
That's right.
Well, we don't need a history lesson.
I always say know when to punt.
Know when to punt,
That's
right?
it.
Let's see. How do you know when a bump needs to be looked at by a doctor? That's just kind of point blank.
It is, and that goes back to those A, B, C, D, E's of melanoma. Because the big concern for any bump or skin lesion is it cancer? And especially is it melanoma? Because melanoma is the one that really can kill people. So A, is the border symmetrical or is it asymmetrical? If it's asymmetrical, time to go to the doctor. That means it's not confluent, it's not smooth, it's not a perfect circle. It's more erratic looking or something like that. So that's an asymmetric border. And then the other one, does the border itself change size or shape? So does it just get bigger over time? Or does it suddenly get big, shrink up, come back? Or is it doing some weird changing? Needs to be seen by a doctor.
So if you just got a bump and it's just sitting there and it kind of stays the same and everything, maybe not to be alarmed that much.
Then go to the C's, color. Does the color change on it?
Okay.
Was it one color and now it's 2 or 3 different colors?
All right, I can
Was
understand that.
Was it skin toned? Did it become black?
Okay.
Or some kind of color
Some kind
change?
of color change, size change,
Symmetry. Does it change?
Okay.
One side's perfectly round, the other side's all jagged.
Right.
Time to get a doctor to look at it. D is just the diameter. Has it just gotten bigger? Okay? If it's gotten bigger, time to get it looked at.
Well, one time I scratched myself, Doc, and it somebody said I had to go. This was about 5 years ago, and I went to a doctor, and they said it got real painful, and then all of a sudden it started streaking
Yep.
up my arm, and it hurt.
Time to get looked at.
It's cellulitis,
Yep.
and they said that was because the infection grew in
Right.
instead of out,
Right.
and that place when I scratched it, it triggered something, and you could see the red. It just started getting red all the way up.
Oh, yeah. It's time to get looked at. And the last one is E. Is it elevated? Does it was that spot even with your skin, and now it has grown up?
that's bad.
Well, it can be. Those are all those A, B, C, D, E's are things that push it toward the family of melanoma. And if you follow what the American Academy of Dermatology suggests, that's their guidelines. And even if you think everything is right with all your bumps that one may have, okay, the American Academy of Dermatology still recommends that you need an annual skin exam, simply because none of us are perfect in what we see. My eyes as a clinician should be better than your eyes looking at skin problems, and then there's somebody's got eyes better than mine. But the big thing is you got things on your back and nether regions that you never see.
Right.
Or never see well.
Right.
So many times somebody will come to us late in the game or the late stage of a cancer because finally their spouse noticed it. They never noticed it, and they never either got asked their provider to look, did not allow their doctor to look at it, or the doctor didn't ask. But it's got to be everybody working together to prevent melanoma.
Well, I've heard of that before, where they had it on their back and they didn't know it was there, and their wife looked at it one day and saw this horrible thing.
Oh, yeah.
And ended up, I've heard of
it
that.
may not just be the back, but another big place is behind the ears. Because, you know, how many people will go look in the mirror and turn their ears inside out, you know?
Yeah.
But that's important.
Well, that makes a
Good-
lot of
very
sense
good
to me,
question.
yeah. We got to have a couple of softballs because we're running out
All
of
right.
time. It says a lady has cold feet and puts, an older lady, she's 80 years old, she has cold feet and puts a heating pad on her feet every night and goes to sleep. Is that all right to do that?
Well, I would, I always like simple medical treatments, and if that works and makes her feet feel
Works for
good,
her, makes
I've got
her
no
feel
problem.
comfortable.
But from a safety standpoint, I hope it's got like an automatic shut off of some sort, and make sure she's got a smoke alarm in the house, you know, all that kind of stuff, because I don't want to burn the house down with that electric blanket.
Well, I
or
think
whatever
most
that
of your
thing
heating
is.
pads nowadays have what they call an automatic shut-off.
think they
if
do.
something were to, but for
But
all
my
that,
mom-
for
my
the
mama
fire.
still got one from 1960 something.
Well, I
that
bet
she
it don't have
likes.
an
And I
automatic
tell you, I
shut-off.
guarantee that dude
No,
burn the house
that
down
ain't got an
heartbeat.
automatic shut-off on it. But other than all that being said, it's not hurting the 80-year-old lady to do that.
I don't think
No,
so.
okay,
I think
as
it'd
long
be
as she
fine.
doesn't burn herself or something like that. All right, here's another one. There was a long ago remedy that if you had stomach ulcers, eat milk and crackers. Does that still hold true today?
The milk, what it does.
Drink milk, eat
right.
crackers.
Milk basically puts a coating over those ulcers, kind of like Pepto-Bismol does.
Or milkshake.
Right, something like that. But of course, you get into the bad benefits of a lot of those other things. But it's probably okay if it's every now and then. But if you're having to do that every night, you need to see a doctor, because if you're doing that, dude, every night to prevent your stomach from hurting, you may have much more than just some reflux or a little ulcer. You could have that, what we call the H. pylori infection. That's the bacteria that grows in our stomach and loves to grow in ulcers. And those infections can be so severe, you may think you're having a heart attack. And that's not obviously going to treat that.
Right.
You know, you're going to have antibiotics. So there's different things going on there. But it's for every now and then, no problem. But if
Okay.
it's happening every night, you need to get that dude looked into.
Real quick, we got about a minute left. Taking B12 shots or pills. Someone was told that something in the stomach wouldn't let pills put the B12 in your systems, so they ought to take a shot.
Right.
Is that
If a person is not making enough of their own intrinsic factor, it's like a binding agent, if you will, to get that B12 in. Yes, the shot would be better.
shot would be better?
Yeah, but most people don't need a shot.
Okay. All right. Well, Doc, that winds it up. Any announcements you want to make other than you are now open on Saturdays now. Remember that. Dr. Cummins' office is open on Saturdays between 9 and 4 o'clock now for your convenience on Saturday, all day Saturday.
I just, the only thing I would mention, if there's something else that the community's looking for or something they need, let us know.
Make a suggestion.
Call with questions. We live here and work with y'all, and we just want to meet the community's needs, and we do appreciate the communication and hearing from you.
And we certainly appreciate your time this afternoon, Doc. We'll see you next week at Thursday night, 6:30. Remember, 587-8176. Give us a call. We'll answer your questions next week. Thank you and good night.
Magnolia State Family Medicine, Health Center and Medical Spa, 1009B City